Hi again, I'm Phil. This is Leviticus 16 from a Messianic / Hebrew roots perspective, using the complete Jewish Bible, which is a direct from Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek translation, cutting out the middleman of several different languages, as opposed to all of our international version type Bibles. That being said, let's begin with Leviticus 16. Adonai spoke with Moshe after the death of Aaron's two sons, when they had tried to sacrifice to Adonai and died. Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell your brother Aaron not to come at just any time to the holy place beyond the curtain in the front of the ark cover which is on the ark, so that he will not die, because I appear in the cloud over the ark cover." I'm going to stop for a second and explain that the presence undiluted of Yahweh is fatal if you have sin in you. That means if you come forward to Yah with sin in you, in a state of uncleanliness, you die. The veil was meant to keep you alive in passing. In the form of Yeshua, I believe, Yah's spirit is alive and incarnate, but the flesh serves as a veil to keep those who are in the presence of Yeshua from dying. That's my take. I stand by it. Research for yourself. If I'm wrong, tell me. If I'm right, so be it. If I'm right, glory to him, not to me. Here's how Aaron is to enter the holy place. With a young bull as a sin offering and a ram as a burnt offering, he's to put on a holy linen tunic and have linen shorts next to his bare flesh, a linen sash wrapped around him, and be wearing a linen turban. These are the holy garments, and there's a fly in here. He is to bathe his body in water and then put them on. He is to take from the community of the people of Israel 2 male goats, one for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron is to present the bull for the sin offering, which is for himself, to make atonement for himself and for his household. He is to take the 2 goats and place them before Adonai at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then Aaron is to cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Adonai, the other for Azazel. Aaron is to present the goat whose lot fell to Adonai and offer it as a sin offering. But the goat whose lot fell to Azazel is to be presented alive to Adonai, to be used for making atonement over it by sending it away into the desert for Azazel. I'm going to stop and make clear that Azazel is a spirit of the wilderness. Most people agree that he's distinct from Satan. He is a sin spirit. The idea is you send out these goats with all of the sins on their back, and they're sent out into the wild to be devoured by this spirit. This is not worship to the spirit. This is the ridding of sin and getting it out of the camp. I'm not as educated in this manner as I could be, but the things that are obvious are made obvious by these passages if you have the heart to look for them. Continuing on with verse 11, Aaron is to present the bull as a sin offering for himself. He will make atonement for his household. He is to slaughter. I have stuttered. He is to slaughter the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself. He is to take a censer full of burning coals from the altar before Adonai, with his hands full of ground fragrant incense, and bring it inside the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before Adonai, so the cloud from the incense will cover the ark cover, which is over the testimony, in order that he not die. He is to take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his finger on the ark cover toward the east, and it will come to pass that you'll discover over time the direction does vary sometimes, whether it's the east side, north side, south side, west side. That does vary. We're not going to get into that right now, but it was worth pointing out. He will sprinkle it with his finger on the ark cover towards the east, and in front of the ark cover he is to sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times. Next, he's to slaughter the goat for the sin offering, which is for the people. bring its blood inside the curtain and do with its blood as he did with the bull's blood, sprinkling it on the ark cover. He will make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanliness of the people of Israel, and because of their transgressions, all of their sins. He's to do the same for the tent of meeting, and which is there with them in the middle of their uncleanliness. No one is to be present in the tent of meeting from the time he enters the holy place to make atonement until the time he comes out, having made atonement for himself, for his household, and the entire community of Israel. Then he's to go out to the altar before Adonai and make atonement for it. He's to take some of this bull's blood and some of the goat's blood and put it on the horns of the altar. He's to sprinkle the blood on it with his finger 7 times, thus purifying it and setting it apart for the uncleanliness of Israel. Now this is important because this is him essentially in the form of sacrifice, in a narrow shadow picture, doing what our Messiah came to do later on, which is shed blood, get rid of sin. It's not the most perfect picture, but you can see what it does. That being said, this isn't just for the sins of one person. Some of this covers everybody, the whole camp, and purifying the meeting place. And I'll bring into play that, we covered in the last chapter impurities, sins from, or not sins, but uncleanliness from discharge and from nida and all of that. If, say Bob has a sore with discharge, Mary is in nida, and Mary's husband, John, well, he couldn't wait, 7 days, and he's unclean because he couldn't wait. And he shakes hands with Tom. Tom is now unclean. Tom sits on a chair in the meeting place, and when he gets up, Bob sits in his place, and then Bob realizes he took Tom's place. He switches seats, and then Tom shakes hands with 3 different people. They're all unclean. And I know it seems like a tall order, but the truth is that is uncleanliness at a glance, and as it spreads, the whole holy area becomes defiled. So this is all about purification. Now we are going to continue on. I figured I'd draw up that analogy for you guys. Kind of important. We don't tend to look at these things as important. How much better off would we be if, because we love him, we kept his commandments to the letter and made ourselves that much more clean, that much more obedient, and let his spirit reside in us that much better, that much more completely. How great would it be if we had the faith to really, really dig in like that? Let me just submit that to you. When he finished atoning for the holy place, the tent of meeting, and the altar, he is to present the live goat. Aaron is to lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all of the transgressions, crimes, and sins of the people of Israel. He is to put them on the head of the goat and send it away into the desert with a man appointed for that purpose. The goat will bear away all the transgressions away to some isolated place, and he is to let it go in the desert. Aaron is to go back to the tent of meeting, remove his linen garments that he put on when he entered the holy place. He's to leave them there, bathe his body in the water of the holy place, put on other clothes, come out, offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering to the people, thus making atonement for himself and the people. He's to take the fat of the sin offering and let it burn up in smoke on the altar. The man who let go the goat for his azel is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he can return to camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, for whose blood was brought to make atonement in the holy place, is to be carried outside the camp, burnt completely with the hides, the meat, and the dung. The person burning them is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he can return to camp. It's all about purification. Now this is important because we like to think, all of these holidays, that we have now in Christendom are what we're supposed to have, and all these Jewish things have been done away with, when the truth of the matter is every so-called Christian holiday is a pagan festival to a pagan idol, or as we tend to refer to them in Christendom and certainly in Judaism, these are pagan demons. These are fallen. These are things we are not to give worship to, but we're having these holidays to them, and we've forgotten every single Jewish holiday that the Bible says to keep for all time. So I'm going to read this. It shall be a permanent regulation to you. This is permanent. There shall be a permanent regulation to you that on the 10th day of the 7th month you are to deny yourselves and not do any kind of work, both the citizen and the foreigner living with you. For on this day of atonement it will be made to purify you. You will be clean before Adonai for all of your sins. It is a Shabbat of complete rest for you. You are to deny yourselves. That means we're fasting. It is a permanent regulation. It says that twice. Anytime it says something twice in the Bible, it's not being redundant. It's to make sure that you understand it completely. The Cohen appointed and consecrated to be a Cohen in his father's place will make the atonement. He'll put the linen garments on, the holy garments, and he'll make atonement especially for the holy, or for the especially holy place. He'll make atonement for the tent of meeting, and the altar. He'll make atonement for all of the priesthood and for all the people of the community. This will be a permanent regulation to you. That's 3 times. To make atonement for all the people of Israel because of all of their sins once a year. And Moshe did as Adonai ordered him. Now let's bear in mind, we don't have access to the ark, to any of these things, but it doesn't change our spiritual obligation and the spirit of the law, where we can't always keep the letter permanent. I don't think when it's said 3 times that a permanent regulation is one of those, oh, let's just do the spirit things. The spirit of the law is to still keep the letter of the law, in this particular case, as best you can, to fast, to meditate on what would be done to purify. Because at some point, we'll probably have the opportunity as a whole people to see a temple rebuilt. That being said, that's speculation on my part. What I do know is it says permanent 3 times. We are to keep the Day of Atonement. It says that 3 times. Must be pretty important. That's really all I've got for this particular line. But we'll continue on with 17 very shortly. Shalom for now.